Hello, Mountaineer faithful. Spring has sprung. Yes, it's springtime in the DMV. And West Virginia football, the brand, is still very much alive. And yes, I've been listening to a few of Rich Rodriguez's comments on his pressers. And we know the spring game is coming up on this coming Saturday on April 5th. But if I were you guys, I wouldn't expect that much, because it really shouldn't be called the spring game anymore, because that's not what it is. It's normally just spring drills and thrills and just meeting the team, because in this age of tampering, you don't want other Power 4 schools seeing your players and their talent, because they could be tampered with and enter the portal. And in case you're wondering, there is another portal period coming up for Power 4 football. It's going to be the 16th of April through the 25th. So coaches have to be careful. So I wouldn't expect much this coming Saturday for the spring festival, I call it, or the spring thrills and drills. It's more or less just meeting the players and the coaches, if they make that accessible. But what is the big number? And it's the cut down period. It's going to be coming all during the summer. It's at 105. Keep that number in mind. That's the roster size that all NC2A Power 4 teams have to cut down to before 1 week before the season. 105 players. And that's what's going on. But let's look at the humanity of the players. When you're looking at this, how many of them jumped in the portal and wanted to attend universities to play football? They got the offer, but now you might be told after the spring game in that evaluation period that you will not be on the team, or you're not going to make the 105-man roster. However the coaches are going to word it, but everything is not final. So a lot of young people, young athletes, will have the opportunity to jump in the portal from April 16th through the 25th to give them a chance to catch on with another team. But one issue I see is, what if they can't catch on to another team? Do they lose that year? They won't be playing football? Or do they drop down to a lower division and play right away? Those are some of the questions that parents and athletes have to be concerned about if you're not going to be on the 105-man roster. You know that if you're on the 105-man roster, you're going to get paid. That decision is supposed to come down this April. That's the way it goes. But in my opinion, all of this could be solved if the NC2A would do their job and just have a developmental team. Have a 105-man hard cap and maybe 15 developmental players. You know, treat it like the NFL. You're going to a semi-pro model anyway. They're professional athletes that should be paid. That's just the way it goes. And compensation-wise, they'll be compensated. The NC2A is labeling it as name, image, and likeness, but there's a few in opposition that doesn't like that term. They want them to be employees of the university and have W-2 wages. So that fight is going to be fought later in the courts. But what I really want to focus on, the most important number, is the 105 hard cap. Because in one of Rodriguez's pressers, he wants to bring in about 15 or 20 more players. So that means that there has to be room made. Now, will some players just stick around and go to school? And I guess they would be allowed to practice or whatever. I don't know that. Would they be allowed to stay in school and practice with the team? But they'd have to pay their own way. Because that 105-man cap takes into account, that includes walk-ons and non-scholarship players. So the walk-on programs are in jeopardy, because I don't know how many coaches are just going to keep walk-ons over some of their scholarship players. They're not going to have time to develop them. So that's the interesting question. But the big number is 105. And keep that in mind, because a lot of coaches are still not settled on their roster yet. Quoting Rich Rodriguez, he says, well, the roster can be fixed, but it's not locked. So if it's not locked, that means there's going to be more changes. Now, are these athletes that jumped into the portal, are they ready for this? This is the business side of the sport that they're going to have to learn quickly before they jump in the portal and participate in big-time athletics at the Power 4 level. That's what has to happen. So that's the human aspect of it, and that's why Be Frank for Real, the Factor, is talking about it. It's something that parents, as well as the player-athlete, has to discuss. Because is that the right university for you? Because coaches are going to have the final say on their 105-man roster in football. That's the bitter realities of it. Yes, there's going to be pay coming in, but there's going to be compliance issues, tax issues, and all kinds of issues that are going to flow from this. Plus, there'll probably be more lawsuits because people are pushing hard for collective bargaining and an employer-employee relationship. This means that coaches have to adapt. And what the coaching staff is going to be doing is evaluating talent. That's what it's all about. But sometimes you just don't make the team. So I really want to see what the fallout's going to be when some of these young people jump back into the portal and they don't get picked up by anybody. This is where it's all going to start shaking out. And I'm just saying that if you're the NC2A, you've got to take a hard look at the model. I like this single window portal that's coming up in 25 and 26. That's a great change, but you need to look at the developmental team and what their compensation could be for a roster, or just try to increase the roster size, whatever it is, because coaches are complaining about depth on their squad, and you have a situation where you have to develop players, but these coaches today want to win now. And the portal forces it into a win now situation. So are the players ready for this, the business side of it? I love the portal because it gives you a chance to get the best athletes. I don't like the Neal Collective. I've said it over and over again. I want a level playing field in college. I don't want a propped up Neal system where you're paying certain players money. So when you get this compensation system put in April, and it'll become effective probably in July or August, then let's kill the Neal. And then what does that leave you with? Teams going back under the table, paying athletes a little bit more than the NC2A is going to pay them as far as a profit-sharing arrangement. All these things have to be talked about. Those are policy issues that are coming down the pike. But as far as West Virginia University and the brand, I want them to be able to play on an even playing field with the other schools, the bigger schools in the SEC and the Big Ten. So whatever that means, and I've given you a few of my ideas, that's what needs to take place at the NC2A level. So the number to keep in mind is 105. Keep a watch because your rosters are going to change, and what you see on Saturday afternoon in Morgantown is probably not going to be the fall roster coming. So it's going to be different. It's going to be different players. So you got to make the team. Hopefully they'll get contracts in the future to be able to hold some players. So we'll just have to see what happens. This is C. Ivan Franklin at Be Frank for Real. One minority voice, one view. It's all about the 105. Roster move 105. See ya.